All right, guys, what's up? So, you should be able to see my screen here on FanDuel. One thing that I want to say is that if you do not have the RotoGrinders extensions for FanDuel and DraftKings, you need to make sure you get those because they're really, really important when it comes to picking your contests. And if you want to do a single lineup, it's a lot easier to do that on FanDuel. They have a lot more single entry contests that are set up in a strong structure to pay you. You know, it's 20 times your entry to first place, something along those lines. What you really have to do is you have to sit down and you have to think about what kind of DFS player you want to be. And if your bankroll is $1,000 and your goal is to have $10,000 by the end of the year, then you need to realize that that's not a real attainable goal, and that the most likely outcome shooting to 10x your bankroll in a year is that you're going to lose that bankroll. And that's fine. If your goal is to go big or go home, sure, then go do that. If your goal is to grind out sustainable winnings and take small shots at GPPs every week, then this video is for you. So say I want to enter $2,500 on FanDuel, then I'm probably only going to play maybe 500 of that or less in GPPs. And what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to play these huge GPPs where it's a $450 entry, 1,100 people, 100K to first. That seems awesome. But then you go and you look at the prizes. It's 22% to first place, almost 50% of the prize pool right here goes to the top 10. And how often are you getting top 10 in a tournament that's 1,100 people? So, you're hoping to get in the top 10 like once a year and something like that. And that's just not paying what I want, and really ideally you need the top 4 to really make money. So then you scroll up and you see the luxury box with 120 people for, $100 more, where I can actually get first or second place is going to pay $7,500 or $12,500. So it's all about your goals. And if you want to, one thing you need to remember is that, an ROI of 15, 18, 20% is like really, really good. So if you think about what your bankroll is for a year, your goal at the end of the year should be, 15, 18% of the, what you've entered over that whole year. 18%. So what you want to do is to just really focus on, what you want. So someone said this is blurry. I'm going to click optimize here and see if that is helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, decide what I want to play weekly. The main thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to, say my bankroll was $250. So for a week, they have these contests on FanDuel that are great for that. They have these small bombs, $25. They have the small sweep, 94 entries, $25. Pays 20% to first place. Min cash is 2.4x. Pays 18% of the field, 17% of the field, but remember that it's only 94 people. So you want to enter these contests where you can actually win first place. So if I'm going to enter, $150 on the week, I'm going to put a team in, the small sweep or the small bomb, which is a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to enter the rest of my entries into cash games. And when I was talking to people about the, cash games, same on FanDuel as it is on DraftKings, the higher volume players, and especially on FanDuel, anyone with over $50,000 in profits, they are not allowed to enter $1 and $2 contests on FanDuel. So, you're always going to want to sort by the entry fee. You can enter these $2 double ups that people with 50,000 in profit cannot enter. Enter as many of them as you can. It's so easy to just, let it open to these main contests and, click as many entries into this $5 double up. That's easy. But, I'm going to have as many entries as I can put in there. Elliot's going to have entries in there. Every person who plays volume on these sites is going to have a ton of entries in that $5 double up. So if you're actually looking to grind out consistent profit and you want to pick your spots, play some of the smaller contests, $1, $2 entries, head-to-heads, mix it up, 50-50s, head-to-heads, and multipliers, and 80% of your weekly entry, put them into those types of contests, maybe 70% and leave 10% for triple ups. Someone was talking in the chat the other day how they focus on triple ups, quintuple ups, and smaller field GPPs. That is exactly what you should be doing, because you have to remember that you're just not going to 100x your entry like ever. Statistically, so unlikely. And the one thing that really gets people into trouble is you think, oh, I would hang myself if my cash team would have won $1 million on FanDuel or in the Millie Maker on DraftKings. So then you're basically lighting $29 on fire once a week. Just don't do it. The statistical likelihood that your cash team would have solo won the Millie Maker, meaning no one else had that lineup, is not worth it. And the payout, the point of getting the payout in the Millie Maker is to win first place by yourself. So just don't do that. So yeah, what you really want to do is use your sorting tools. Sort by the entry fee, sort by entries, use the RotoGrinders tools. They will show you what the rake is. They will show you the margin. That's the rake. They will show you what the minimum cash is. They will show you what first place pays, what percentage. And you just want to focus on tournaments that are not just dumping money to first place. Any of these tournaments that have a headliner, 100K to first place, that are less than like $1,000 entry fee, are generally garbage. So you look at the Blitz, 100K to first place, $30,000 to second place. It's a joke. There should not be a $70,000 difference between first and second place for a contest that's paying $100,000. So do not enter them. Just don't get caught up with these headline contests and play smart. On FanDuel, you scroll down, look for contests that are 250 people and less. And just remember that you're not going to enter $25 and win $10,000. That's not a realistic thing to think about. But to enter $25 and win $750, that's a bankroll grinding type win. If you 10, 20x, that's awesome, except that a $25 entry is unlikely to win you $1 million unless you want to just light money on fire on DK or on FanDuel. And there's these contests exist on DraftKings too. They're just a little more difficult to find. So you want to, sort, open up those contests and look for what they pay to first place, how many entries there are. Once you're getting over 1,000 entries, just know that, you're just really, really unlikely to get a first place. But if you're in contests that are only 100 or 200 people, then you can actually get there. So The next thing that I wanted to talk about that's sort of separate from picking your contest is just how you use a bankroll. So oftentimes people say, oh, should I put all of my money into my account? Should I withdraw after I have a win, et cetera, et cetera. And the reality is that you need to sit down and you decide what is the amount of money that I can, feasibly lose. I can end up with $0 after the NFL season. And that is your theoretical bankroll. So you take that theoretical bankroll, say it's $5,000, whatever, take a notebook, put that amount at the top, and then you're going to write, week one, you're going to enter 5 to 10% of that. And, these rules, people say, oh, if it's a good week, enter 20%. Don't do that. That's how you get yourself in trouble. 20% of your bankroll is 5 weeks. I've lost 5 weeks in a row. I'm sure plenty of people have lost 5 weeks in a row. So don't get caught up in that. And don't get caught up in, man, if I had a $500 entry, I would have won that $10,000 to first place. You just need to focus on the multiplier of your entry. $500 turning into $10,000 is not as big of a multiplier as you think. You just get excited because it was 10,000. So really sit down, write down your numbers. So, NFL week one, my bankroll is $5,000. I'm going to enter $500 and then just write down the contest. Sometimes it really helps to just see what you are entering. And then that way, you don't have to put all 5,000 on DraftKings or FanDuel at once. You just know that that's the money that you have set aside for that. And then if you win, you win $1,000 that week. Now your bankroll is $6,000. Enter up to 10% of that. And this is probably the most important aspect of daily fantasy or just being a gambler. I mean, in the poker days, there was the 10-20 rule. And the 10-20 rule was that if once you had over 20 buy-ins for your level that you were playing, so say I was playing 5 cent, 10 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, you're buying in for $10 at that table. Once I had $200 worth, then I could take a shot at the next table, 10 cent, 20 cent, because I have 10 buy-ins to take a shot at that. But once you get down, so once I would lose to the point where I only have 10 buy-ins for the level below me, then I need to move back down. And that's anyone who didn't do that, they went broke. And that's the same exact thing that will happen in daily fantasy sports if you don't manage your bankroll. If you just say, I just play $100 a weekend, well, that's bad too, because then you're never moving up. You're never taking shots at the next level. So what I mean by taking shots, say I'm the person that I'm usually entering the small sweep or the small bomb, but I've had a few good weeks in a row. And now 20%, of my weekly entry would be $75. So now I take a shot at, I don't know, the hot route. But then I also play the small bomb. You don't have to just move up and take a shot at the stiff arm, but you could. And the reason that taking those shots is good is because as you move up in stake, the margin goes down. So the rake is lower. 11% rake on the hot route, 15% rake on the small bomb. But again, you have to win that money and move up to that level before you take those shots. If you just have a good week and then you just decide to take a shot the next week and double your entry fees, then you're going to go broke. And you just have to accept that. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But the realistic thing is to just sit down, decide what kind of player you want to be. If you think you're going to play $100 a weekend and your goal is to win $10,000 or $100,000, you should understand that you're just not going to do that. You should go into it expecting to lose every penny. And then if you do win, it's going to be great. But if you know you're frustrated because you're entering GPPs every weekend and you're losing, you have to realize that GPPs, you're going to lose. You look at the Chipotle brothers, Manny Laura, that, you know, they will go 5, 6, 7 weeks losing. I mean, the Crawley brothers, there was like 5 or 6 weeks in a row where they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars before they hit. But that's how they play. You know, the GPP life, you're going to lose 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row. And then the goal is to get like one first place to make up for that. If you can't handle that, that's a very anxiety, stressful type of play. You have to have a very special mindset to be able to do that. If that, you know, stresses you out, then stop doing that. This stuff is stressful. And one way to really manage that stress is to have a plan. So get a notebook. When I was very early on, and, you know, you get to the point where this stuff sort of just gets in your head. You know what you're playing every week. You know what your bankroll is. But early on, when you're sort of still figuring out what type of player you want to be, how you want to play your bankroll, get a notebook. I did this. Did it for years. Had a notebook, would write down what my bankroll was at that time, what contests I was going to enter. And you don't have to write down every single contest, but, you know, cash, X number of dollars, you know, this contest, X number of dollars, et cetera, and then just keep going. So have a plan, enter contests that are structured correctly. 3 main things you want to look for that structure. Just to sum it up, so total entries, how much it pays to first place, how much it pays for the top 10, and what the discrepancy is between first place and second place. You do not want a big discrepancy between first and second. You do not want contests that are paying over 25% to first place, and you do not want contests that are paying 50%, you know, nearly 50% to the top 10. You also do not want contests that are paying min cash of like your entry fee. They exist. Or contests that are like 1.2 times your entry fee, because that's just not sustainable. You want to be able to, if I get 5th place, I want to get some money out of that. You know, if I get 10th place, I don't want to get 10th place and say, well, fuck, I was so close to first and I only tripled up and first place got 100K. Just, I don't want that type of feeling, because nothing feels worse than that. I would rather lose than have that type of a feeling. So I don't enter those contests. Like the Wildcat on DraftKings is probably one of the worst contests ever. People continue to enter that, you know. Oh, I'm going to take a $300 shot, so enter the Wildcat. It's a garbage contest. You want to pull up Samson, you want to go look at the best players in the world and what they've done in the Wildcat. It's like pretty much everyone is a career loser in the Wildcat, because it's basically a $300 Millie Maker. The Power Sweep, $150 contest on DraftKings. One thing that I like to do, they run the SPY. It's $100. They open smaller SPYs later in the weekend. So like tomorrow, you'll probably see the SPY that has like 1,100 entries. It's a pretty good one. So just wait for those. Those contests do exist. Find them, enter them. Be careful with your money. Manage your bankroll, and you can succeed. But if you think you're going to get rich doing this off a $1,000 bankroll, well, let me know when you go broke. Peace, guys.
Peppa finished a walk. That's 18,000 steps towards her daily goal.